Gilg J as Gilg Chlaare.
As den kiaull shoh endu Claare na Gael as bevailiam shuish altaga. My name is Robert Cutting-Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And this programme is called Claare na Gael. In Claare na Gael you will hear two threads, one in the English language as Snaelia Sagilg, and another thread in the Manx Gaelic, Chinne na Mera, the mother tongue of Vanim, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Durish. Well, M C Kermode is writing about the events of the year 1210. King John of England has attacked enemies in Ireland, but fears some of them may escape to the Isle of Man, and so he sends ships here. Unfortunately, the powerful Manx king, well, Reginald as it was generally given, as it's certainly given by M C Kermode, very often known these days as Ragnvaldr, is away with his fighting force in the Western Isles of Scotland. Tre Mina Harker as nolw van Helsing stap a carriageoch as hired stiach ons taerenjach, de chonnach kabil no as bit de be, ren van tai goil tas de J. Cron besh Mina, as renny crosha guri heen, as hinimach de ve, de chosha a drach huil. Now we begin with a song by a Scottish singer who'll be visiting the island in a few weeks' time, and she's Joy Dunlop, and this is from her Cruer album. This is Porsche de Cailliche. Tashu geestiach ris Radio Vanning, Stasiwn the Nation, viskuller skeliamach, vaidulish, Alan Vanning.
Cheayrt of his suye, cheayrt of his suye,
Joy Dunlop, who'll be giving some Scottish Gaelic language workshops and some song workshops, as well as performing in a concert on Friday the 8th of November as part of an Chush, which is running between the 6th and the 10th of November. Several of King John's ships made direct to Ronaldsway, which they reached in time to cut off and secure the earthwork fort on St Michael's Isle. The Southlanders took refuge in Ragnvaldr's strong castle at Rushen and the forts at Hango and Balladul, but most of them fled with their women and sent their children to the great camp on Warfell at South Barrule. Other ships came up the coast. St Patrick's Isle was guarded by Ragnvaldr's tower, but they landed in the bay and passed, burning and plundering to the south. A small force landed at the Len and made for the Sulby Pass, while others from Ramsey Bay marched to Scarkafell, Sky Hill, and so by Snaefell to meet their fellows coming up the glen. The defenders at Bow and Arrow Hedge, Claare and Yarach, outnumbered and attacked in front and rear, were put to flight, and the raiders passed upon their way, all gathering eventually at the south, where, having devastated the island for a fortnight, they re-embarked with their booty, carrying off hostages. As nis shoh as leorla Mina Harker. Tammy Krell der en het burrad heen de chor tauselje de chor leid sa viain, as ha nodum ginu leis gar leid. De kinjach ni de shen tam yang ol kerel gin cor jim edd as ma vraid, as ma saw tammy a chian en aursenok. Ta sin troilt de bew, as an na wel immenach merin de hotlerach, ta sin gol rosh scammelt. Ach sliost au grey de ginaal rosh a drach hwyl, airt de chon chau chulugin a cledden red. Tan allu gien de vei gin skies. Fine cledden laich enig goil fair be, gerde dug orm cadler is tamelt ljouwer. Eg trein laich renia hugge mi for hypnosis, as te greider en mi freigert maar om mi klaagde, dorges, ustjelianten, as foi gisterni. Me soort en naidjain fos njawin. Ta mi goil aal rosh smunjen het Jonathan. Ach, ons hacht en ja genel alem a hon, na erbe hons. Ta mi skriw shoh haus ta sin fewens tai ernjach na kabel bijin derlu. Now, DENEZ PRIGENT was Professor Breton for 3 years, but gave up his chair to devote himself to his music, and here he sings the song Va Un, My Road.
Kemerarin an neis u glas, avus kandin an nezen, a füle nu achan ar glis, varaden an dosen. Kemerarin an neis u kam, a judin ar sparfel, as clerigen ruzal argan, Paves di rolan navel, Kemerarin an neis u kus, Zans din a fouer lirzin, Avar began toen urus, Moge du gwen ar frim. Kemerarin an neis u or, Gandin neon ar teren, Agen avus plan misere, Agadou a la bousselle. Kemerarin an neis u kol, Agon din ar vogider, Ataz manjou rosa fumoul, Emelez u
My Road, or perhaps My Way, va on, a song in Breton with lyrics written and sung by DENEZ PRIGENT. Ten fairly van Helsing na Gadle. A vach veen te jean de vee fiski as shaan as lie. Ach ten bieleg a sight gechon as shennig ver barriachtach. Hier na Gadle te lende gereil. Tre tushin an oil toyacht de kaart, signed out cor ersen goil feig house de mishkiman. Nye minch de wel len ron, as nog naiden doen brisje schies, tre na smoene olju, be femine een yard. Dat de goljurid erluch hemmage ron de lie. En nale mi haune morre. Henkeliam, as washing gimman rer shell voet na hei. Nicht an leidje door een Gaelig voer. Ta trimid kweeg zijn ta mi grei trimid gen vogel scherem, ten bunje de wel tran leis een justjen. Te fi voer, as genee dag vinnig eind te freilsjen sauer. Ege badran hug van Helsing mi voor hypnosis, te greider mi freigert, dorges, foi gisterni, as ustje buruche. Besought an jou in chlaare house at Gulsus. Such fighting men as were left in the island had gathered in their clans, and having first secured the chief forts, made for the mountains to follow on the enemy's track, cut off roving bands and stragglers, and harass him as far as they were able. When the fiery cross went round, the men of Mackle had manned the fort at Gobnarona, and were able to prevent a landing there. Others were sent to Gobbergarben, also known as Gobbergowen, at the southern end of Port Moor. But few were left for Canadale, and these, meeting at the old field of assembly on Marbreck, where in later days parish was to meet parish in friendly rivalry at the butts in archery contests, marched to the Lie East, a little earthwork fort at the head of the dale, armed with bows, with axes, and with spears. Finding the raiders were passing on the other side of the Chlaare and making for the south by Keppel Gate, they hung upon their rear and relieved them of some of their booty. Music from the Manx repertoire played as marches by Thomas CALLISTER on fiddle and David KILGALLON on keys, with the two Adams, Rhodes and Brown, on bouzouki and bowron respectively. Tom David and Adam Rhodes also play in Claare, who we'll hear later on. Stasiwn yn asiwn to radio fanning, as yn show tasiw geisach rys Claare na Gael. Mer yn pyn, Robert gyda'n corfo, Robert y corslach.
Have you heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Ta Claare na Gael maas de chiedendor en de Claare en radio fanning rys verklaas en rys schachten, lukt ook al er skeelje maag en geert. Ja, rys broe kramman agert in de radio fanning, as rai en me Claare en shen. De Claare na Gael more podcastnies, wist er gedden nastier in de radio vanning, na truden reicher de podcast jou. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. Among these men of Canadale was young MacCallow of Cardle, and he was taken and carried off as a hostage. MacChriston, leader of the band, attempted to rescue him, but was crushed by a great stone hurled at him by a leather-capped giant, who directly afterwards received an arrow in the face. Many more were wounded, but the captors got away without loss of life. At night they brought Macriston down to the fort, from where he had lingered for a few days. Though he scarcely recovered consciousness, Dewan, who'd known him all his life, with loving regard, helped him with his confession that he might not go unshriven to his Maker. He'd seen him pass peacefully away, and now was on his way to bury him. Coming to the head of Gleon Barul, he made use of his staff as a leaping pole, and sprang across, flushing a snipe in the narrow glen. His quick eye caught a movement in the grass, as the young birds scattered to hide themselves. Tammy treished eil de fear na gin ma verneen golons gower be, na smoon of his famer. Ach, tashin ons lawen ye. An nala mi hauna, fine cledden lag gimman. Tan cheayrt chit de vei smooth feich aus tashin gol, as de dreamen en moeren a car pedi, ons verresti va gien de vei goud wine, as gewingel oire crunje, nis gien de crunjige ma gietemoen, as de jadu morturen roin. Te gien de vel na nisgien ons gien mai, liam de vel sin gien web de geurgige geilje, ons gien shent as sin geurgige sin heen. Tan fairly van Helsing grey jorische ware de jimmets rasten a verne vorgo. Sviebeg en tan a taien on shoh nish, as tan allo grey de be famer na kabel jerenach, hoer sin gol roin merin. A fair fuddy nach be kedun de challiche. Hoer gis elia chamas a pyre wrench in challiche, ma so nish de source garawine de cheayrt salau. Gwenno Saunders started her music career in Wales, but in addition to Welsh, Cornish was the other language of her household, and later she included some songs in Cornish on her albums, before making a full album called Tresor, all in Cornish, from which this is a track, and is called Anima.
I'll
A singer in both Welsh and Cornish, that's Gwenno, singing in the language she learnt from her Cornish poet father, Tim Saunders. Tan y cabel fi'n fod y surrensach as mai, as chanelad cor bwrr bi orin. Chanel troilt I elia bwrr orin, as ma so i'r mish, fodom simon. Ni ma chit gys y byrna fo sailsian lei, chanel sy'n giri roshan roshan. Ma so ta sy'n goel yn esh, as the dach goel fe liawr rare shell. O, crevis lena vera cor leshton. Ta sy'n gol de hira bol on ren ma burnin bach surrant swish. De rauw G lieged on gulderly jail de kaart, as de beroed shave lesh de lieged au shadow maag onze gilje, maar ver jousen na welle gaarne chorjorm. Memorandum Joris Abraham van Helsing en Gerolai mi hauna. Shoh gus ma chan chara 4 John Seward MD, J. Perfect Lunning, al nach Jinnum Fagene. Fuddy de Jennisalge amach. Shane Marathon. Tam I skriw Joris Ail tam I foot na hier rail bio, lesh kuna ben ser Mina. The little snipe's artful mother, to protect her little ones, hovered over Juan's head, then mounted high and circled round with downward shoots and upward flings, bleating and tinkling on the mountainside, till she felt she'd driven him away. Half a mile further on he descended the slope opposite the streamlet pouring down with white and sparkling foam between Slieauer and Slieau Lane. Here, due west of the modern farm buildings of Corna, may still be seen the ruins of the kiaull, set on a grassy ledge of the mountain, which descends in a series of billowy folds and falls another 100 feet to the stream below. The lonely graveyard, about 1/4 acre in extent, is protected by a low, broad bank, which had been raised and strengthened for defensive purposes. Here the sheep had been gathered at the first alarm, and the women and the children were prepared to take refuge in the kiaull, had any of the raiders shown themselves in the dale. Now, one of the distinctive voices of Irish music is Sean O'Shea, who was the vocalist chosen by Sean O'Riordan for Cultúrtha Chualann. This, though, is a later recording of the well-known song Carrick Fergus.
The bhí ban whistle shall the lualium, ach yin si quoth dim sa farir geir. The was na town pass na balti mora, ach dag shiaun me os cortin. Da vain se counsa feor si an town will the venture Scan fallet leisagam is begm of winter I golden I wish I had you in Carrick Fergus is fadonach in a ballywen sailing over the deep blue ocean in the Egmach Royal sig yellow worm. For the seas are deep, love, and I cannot swim over, and neither have I the wings to fly. I wish I met with a handy boatman who would ferry me over, my love and I. In Castle Dracula it is reported a marble stone there as black as ink, with gold and silver I'll pay for porter, but I'll sing no more till I have a drink. For I'm drunk today and I'm seldom sober, a handsome rover from town to town. But now I am dead and my days they are over. Come Molly Asthorine, now lay me down.
The voice of Sean O'Shea and the song Carrickfergus. The people didn't think so much of their earthen rampart as of the charm they knew that Jew and priest had somewhere placed within the building. What it was they knew not, but Macallo, a learned man who it was known could read, if he couldn't even write, had told them there were signs cut by the priest upon a stone, which he couldn't read, but that a wise friend whom he brought once to see it said they were like those cut on the sides of his father. But Juan had forbidden him to call for vengeance, and his mother was glad. Instead, he came forward himself and offered up a prayer for the dead man's soul. Then, as they raised the bier, he lifted up his voice, ringing like a silver bell far down the dale, chanting comfortable psalms. At the entrance to the rullock he turned, and in loud clear tones began the solemn service for the dead. Sfure, Fúr, gefúr de wel a spare trom lia lend an jaachta, as cún vi shen tujum ni a tannacht an on cara jauri, chaust an tolu craiche de goile. De gian de vele an yinu er a ben ser Mina. De wecho trom se chionek fayan lei na raui goria sheen. Ti cadla, as cadla. Ish de kleach de wecho gier inchinach, ti an yinu ons kiel chart de rei weg fayan lei. Ti eer a chol a mien biek. Genelli skriw weg se gilen weg, ish de skriw gefirniach treer bi te burn on. Ta riddenach sangerach rum na wel ulju de mai. Ach, noch, ti smoe wief. Dan sabin ljouwer fayan lei a noerige hi, as liesi. Son nish ti ledden village as hug ginnel as viriu. Egen laig reinje hug mi eber corrie fo hypnosis ach a trai, gin airtis bi. Tan poer jit de wei na slew, les dag lei, as nach gedenkeliam e chor bi. The harp playing of Gwen Mary, who was brought up in Scotland but in a Welsh-speaking family, and that was her composition Rheged, which is the name of one of the Brythonic kingdoms of Hen Gogledd, the Old North, when Brythonic was spoken at least up as far as the Clyde Valley. Audio Station and Ashun Radio Vannis and shoh Claare na Gael with Sculler Scalia Mach. Mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Well, hide na ye der outjent, Claare be the shen, as the red be the generally jail. Nish gus an shanachus, son na belle ben ser Mina Jinaway se grai skriwek, signdus. Ons een shanach stach lag hem, nach gin chwilien lai ein gold gin recortes gint. Rentjen raschen de verne Borgo kartlug iri na grenia mor a jay. Tre ren mi fag en kourigen a badran ren mi eurlus on een hypnosis. Rentjen kor stap a charagijn, as ren a ven ser Mina, lug gi lysis, kor susi heens en ach kajin, ach na smelje, as rish tres gira na veriu. Den sebin fo hypnosis. Ma rai ren na freger chit. Dorachus as kader an usje. Esh ren I dusta, gindel as brioil, as tashin guller ed eines, de leer tashin rosh in de burno. Ega tre as a vol shoh, ti chit de be ail les chinid. Ten yard sturi no en yach onji guller salje gemach. Son ti shina mer red as grey, shoch and red. Leading around with the sun to the east end of the keel, the office was continued at the side of the stone-lined grave. This was by a rude but venerable slab on which was carved a cross, marking the place of a saint who, 6 centuries before, had there been laid to rest. The body, wrapped round in fine linen, was gently lowered by the hands of lifelong friends. The mourners pressed round to receive a sprinkling of the holy water, each warrior and each old comrade coming in turn to drop into the grave a round white pebble from the beach. The ceremony over, all the people quietly moved away and walked to the home in Glonaspriech, where Dewan shortly followed them to the funeral feast, and witnessed Macallo as guardian take the boy and set him in his father's seat. Later, when men had eaten and drunken and tongues began to be loosened, he'd slipped away and returned to his keel. Once, on a sunny day in spring, Dewan had been mending the thatch of his keel. Now we heard from one and Maud gold medal winner Joy Dunlop, who won in the gold medal in 2010. Back in 1983, and Maud gold medal winner was Arthur Cormac, and this is a song written by fellow skyman Blair Douglas.
Vi mari luag dansa noch no ponye syndrom a puamag ti loin ti mas ti kiet ti stund opera el super loy ach nur hi kai ti hun vi mari luag dansa noch dansa kamatin bo vi mari luag dansa noch no ponye syndrom a puamag kom lat is kom lat chi a kjánar annans kjánar fri Slenni sin lút a rátsja forstrid Kass heim a cháman Vi mari du aige tausiga noch Tausiga mati boch Vi mari du aige tausiga noch Na bodi sin trum a puamag Dansa gematin boch Vi mari du aige dansa noch Na ponje syndrom a puamag Glesen vits, glesen jel Kashmachs ruines purst viel Chies tran para bishinje trialas Mari du aige dansa Vi mari du aige dansa noch Dansa gematin boch Vi mari du aige dansa noch Na ponje sin drömma på wallag. Geloin, gemas, gekieten, gesting. Op een raaiels op het rooi. Ach, nur a hiek, a ik en je hut. Bi mari roog, dansen. Bi mari roog, dansen genoeg. Dansen gemat in bocht. Bi mari roog, dansen genoeg. Nog een sin drömma på wallag. Bi mari roog, dansen genoeg. Dansen gemat in bocht. Bi mari roog, dansen genoeg. Nog een sin drömma på wallag.
And that's a song by Skyman Blair Douglas, and it was all about Mary Rua, red-haired Mary, who's dancing tonight, and it was sung there by Arthur Cormac, and that was from his second album. Finishing his frugal dinner of oaten bread and watercress with a morsel of cheese, he rested on the back against the south wall, and fell to musing of the past. He thought of his flock, and who would have been there before them, of the builders of this little cell, and how the first to preach the faith had fared with their forefathers. He thought of the world in heathen darkness, and of the Word made flesh, and of the wondrous spread of his glorious gospel, of Patrick, who brought it to the Irish Celts, with whom the Manx were one people. And then he thought of the long years when they'd been cut off from the church elsewhere, and how strange customs had grown up, and superstition had crept in, and the folk seemed drifting from the one true fold. Then came Malachi, the great reformer, and, reconciling Celt and Dane, brought them again into communion with the Catholic Church. But Ewan must be doing something with his hands, and as he lay a-thinking, he saw by his side a rough piece of slaty stone. Crenach de fisser a sen, Tammy Braich G. Son shiger is de fisser mer, ti co fregert, as lesh furgach, ti grenius, na vel Jonathan M. engel lesh as skriw jen journege. Ege toicht Tammy smunion de rau shen beggen quech, ach de leer Tammy tiggle, na velach an unforrad jen lied shoh, ach scone to him a jintje. As fin jouw chaasler is je red moer vain bokobien agus bistreets, vis na slie as skrai. As imid smoo jintje. Ma so renshin chit shees a red show. Tretashin chit a regin elia, chan kinjach de raushin shigga drawad nin regin cor bi, son ta tregitjes ta snjach de edre mer dujum, ta fisseg na regin as oxen inrichen. Ren mi cor kiaull och dau, as tad golcha surrensach. Lug tamalt tashin fedden olju na nien ta Jonathan an yinu recortes jesel jorla yin de sach shenega. Esh tashin golron ush uren na zuren filjauer. Now this is a Breton lullaby, which we've heard versions of before. This version, though, is by Annie Ebrel, and a bit later on she's joined by Yvonne Kelleg, he's a harp player, and Jackie Mollard, who plays the fiddle.
Tutuing la la mama big tutuing la la. O mama zo aman conti. Aux olus qu'elle mignonique, tutuing la la, mama big tutuing la la. Ape war beyond merhet, oppe sket clever. O mam de nons au Canada. Italo cave
The Breton lullaby, Tutuig Lala Mababig, Sleep Lala, my little child, sung there by Annie Ebrel. Ege toiach tammy ginsten wen ser Mina de Gael Sabine. Te Corre bear, as te chitli. Te na cadle ulju en tre. Derre feyere tammy genachten de wel aures chit orm, as Corre bear doesti. Ach, te cadle fos. As genodem doest die, gede wel mi gebe. Genel mi giri gebe rauwer, alde jinnem gielgi. A fair te fissem de belly hurrents muren, as de wel sabine de kirten, bun as bergi. The stone was about 2 feet long by 1 in width, unshapen and undressed. He fingered it, then took his knife, and, while he thought, began to cut the name of Christ. Now, Juan was no great scholar, but he had some knowledge of the Norse speech, which still was sometimes heard in the island, as well as his natives Manx, and the more scholastic Irish. And we'll finish this story next time. In just a few minutes, Chris Pearson will be bringing you the best in chill-out music for your Sunday evening from 7 until 9 o'clock. And then at 9, it's time for Sundown with Judith Leigh. We bring Claare and Gael to a close with music from the band Claare from their Live Wire album. They call this track The Ram. Ach, Shananish, and so until next time, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Leave I'm a Crieri, was Orserlier, as me Yeri and shared you will you.